Alright, so today let me show you some games that might have flown under your radar but deserve way more attention. Each of these games offers something truly unique, whether it's the setting, gameplay mechanics, or storytelling. So sit back and let's go over 15 great games not many people know about. And I'll be sharing my personal thoughts on what makes each one so special. Let's kick things off with Atlas Fallen. This game just blew me away with its sand-covered landscapes and epic combat against towering creatures. I honestly felt like I was part of some ancient legend, with each battle drawing me deeper into its lore. What I loved most was the freedom to explore these vast, shifting dunes. There's always a new challenge or hidden treasure waiting to be found. The sense of adventure here is unlike anything I've felt in a while, and the combat is a blast, especially when you start using sand-based powers to bring down massive enemies. Next we have Blair Witch, a game that left me both terrified and fascinated. You play as Elex, a former cop with a past searching for a missing child in the Black Hills forest. What got me was the way the game messes with your mind. There are times when you're not sure if what you're seeing is even real. The connection with your dog, Bullet, added this emotional layer that's rare in horror games, making the experience feel personal and intense. If you're into horror that's more psychological than jump scare heavy, this game is a must play.
It was a mistake letting you come here. You wanted to redeem yourself, I get it. And I wanted to help, but this is too much for you. You're not thinking straight.
Hey, don't talk to me like I'm crazy.
Well, what do you want me to say, Ellis? That it's all fine and dandy? Because I sure as hell tried that, and it didn't work.
Screw you, Emmett. I don't need your help. It's you who needs me. Now, I'm the only person in this goddamn forest who is even remotely close to finding that kid.
The Order 1886 takes us to an alternate Victorian London filled with myths and advanced tech. This game often gets labeled as a missed opportunity, but I think it's a masterpiece in world building. From the steampunk gadgets to the werewolf battles, I was completely drawn into its universe. Sure, it's a bit short, but the story feels like an intense cinematic experience. It's like stepping into a graphic novel with a dark, haunting edge. If you're a fan of cinematic storytelling, give this one a try. Trust me, it's worth it.
Vengeance, come to your senses!
That was my...
Christ, stop!
Damn it! Lord Hastings is secure. Does anyone have eyes on Galahad? Air Command, do we have any sentinels above our position? Sir Lucan, this is Sentinel 3. We are 1 league north of Westminster Bridge and closing.
Sentinel 3, find Sir Galahad and keep your eyes on him without fail.
The Surge 2 is another sci-fi RPG that deserves way more attention. This game takes the Souls-like genre and gives it a futuristic twist. It's set in the brutal city of Jericho, where you can target specific enemy limbs to get the gear you need. It's a game that rewards you for thinking strategically about every encounter. Personally, I found the learning curve tough but super satisfying. There's nothing like the feeling of upgrading your exosuit and finally mastering an enemy that's been giving you trouble for hours. If you enjoy hardcore action RPGs, this one's a hidden gem. Code Vein is like the anime version of Dark Souls, and it brings a fresh twist to the Souls-like genre. The story revolves around revenants, basically vampires surviving in a post-apocalyptic world. What really kept me hooked was the art style and character customization. You can create some truly unique characters here, and the AI partners actually help in combat instead of dragging you down. It feels like a mix of Tokyo Ghoul and Bloodborne, which, if you ask me, is a dream combo. Plus, the narrative gets surprisingly deep and emotional as you go along. Killzone Shadowfall was one of the first games I played on PS4, and I still remember being blown away by its visuals. The story pits you between two warring factions that coexist in a divided city, a kind of Berlin Wall scenario but on a much bigger scale. The combat feels intense and tight, and the graphics still look impressive years later. It's a bit more story-driven than your usual shooter, which I personally loved. If you're looking for a beautifully crafted FPS that gives you more than just mindless shooting, check this one out. GreedFall combines 17th century exploration with magic, creating a world that feels fresh and intriguing. This game had me hooked from the start, especially with its focus on diplomacy, combat, and choice-driven storytelling. Every decision you make affects your relationships with factions and characters, which gives it a Mass Effect on an island vibe. I found myself fully immersed in its morally complex story. If you love RPGs that let you shape your path, GreedFall is absolutely worth your time.
We'll give you faith in existence.
Greetings, Your
Come
Excellency.
one, come all. Citizens of Serene, come to me. You won't regret this miraculous opportunity.
May
Your
the
time
disease
is
never
precious
afflict
in
you,
these
Your
dark
Excellency.
hours. But what you're about to discover could save your life.
Arcane Studios' Prey is a sci-fi thriller that keeps you on edge from start to finish. You're on a space station overrun by shape-shifting aliens called Typhon, and even mundane objects could be a threat. What I loved most about this game was the freedom to approach problems in countless ways. Want to turn into a coffee cup and sneak past enemies? Go for it. The level of creativity it allows is unmatched. For anyone into atmospheric horror with deep open-ended gameplay, Prey is a must-play. The Technomancer takes place on Mars and features a blend of sci-fi and magic in its combat system. As a Technomancer, you use electricity-based powers to take down enemies, which makes for some really dynamic fights. The story dives into themes of survival and loyalty in a harsh colonial Mars society. While it's not the most polished game out there, it's one I found incredibly immersive. If you're a fan of sci-fi RPGs, it's worth exploring the unique world of the Technomancer. Enslaved Odyssey to the West is one of those games that sticks with you. You play as Monkey, a tough but vulnerable character who's trying to escort a young woman, Trip, through a post-apocalyptic world filled with robots. The chemistry between the characters is incredible, and the story inspired by the Chinese tale Journey to the West is surprisingly emotional. For anyone who values character-driven stories with great platforming and combat, Enslaved is a true hidden gem. Bloody Spell is a hidden action RPG from China with seriously impressive martial arts combat. The fighting feels incredibly fluid, and the game's Eastern fantasy aesthetic adds a lot to the atmosphere. While it's not as polished as some other action games, there's something refreshing about the fast-paced, almost dance-like combat style. If you're a fan of martial arts and dark fantasy, Bloody Spell is definitely one to try out. Bound by Flame puts you in the shoes of a mercenary possessed by a demon, and you'll be tempted throughout the game to give in to the demon's powers. The cool thing here is that your choices determine how much of a hero or anti-hero you become. The RPG elements are solid, and the combat is quite challenging, which I personally enjoyed. While it might not be the most popular RPG out there, it's definitely worth a look for fans of morally complex stories.
Get back to the chamber with the others. We can't protect you if you keep wandering around.
From the creators of Gothic, Elex combines sci-fi fantasy and post-apocalyptic themes into one sprawling world. I loved how factions in the game felt like they had actual personalities and your decisions truly mattered. It's a tough RPG with a big learning curve, but once you're in, you'll appreciate its depth. If you're looking for a hardcore RPG with tons of lore and a unique setting, Elex has you covered.
Are you ready to go on? We should get moving. I'll help you. Let's go.
Blacktail brings Slavic folklore to life in a dark fairy tale world. Playing as Yaga, a young woman searching for her place, you encounter mystical creatures and explore moral decisions in a haunting world. The game's archery-focused combat is a refreshing twist, and its storybook visuals are stunning. Personally, I found it really immersive and haunting, almost like a fairy tale gone wrong. If you want something different and eerie, Blacktail will surprise you.
Was it... a broom?
Broom? An ancient artifact of great power. But sure, it makes it easier to take care of the trash.
But what was it even doing here?
This thing's got a mind of its own. It found you. It'll be back if you need it.
So, we're bound to stick together through thick and thin.
And finally, Immortals Fenyx Rising. Think of it as a lighter, more comedic version of Assassin's Creed meets Greek mythology. You play as Fenyx, tasked with rescuing the gods from monsters and curses. The combat, the puzzles, and the humor make it such a fun experience even for casual players. I found myself laughing at the banter between Zeus and Prometheus, which adds a lightheartedness to the epic quests. If you want an RPG that doesn't take itself too seriously but still delivers great gameplay, you've got to try Immortals Fenyx Rising. So there you have it, 15 fantastic games that deserve more love. Some are hidden gems, others are just underappreciated, but all of them are worth your time. Let me know in the comments if any of these piqued your interest, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.